Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I'm Matt, Cummins Camping. Today I'm gonna fix a problem we had on our last trip. We got to the campground and hooked the water up, and we had something bypassing. I think the check valve in our water pump went bad on the camper. So among other things, I think the check valve went bad, and it also blew a line out. The line, I believe, coming from the water tank. I believe the line coming from the water tank came out of the pump. So it was sucking air when we got to the campground, because I switched it back and forth from the pump to the city water, trying to figure out why we didn't have water, and I kept hearing bypassing down there. So it was a mess. I ended up flooding this bay. I'm going to show you the water pump situation. I now have it bypassed, coming from city water straight in. I had to go buy the crimpers. Here's the crimpers for the PEX pipe, clamps. Everything in this camper is PEX pipe. This is a 2018 Keystone Springdale. It's a Summerland brand. But what I'm going to do today, what I want to do, figure out a way to put this in. This is a shut off, so when I'm not using the 12-volt system, I can put this in there somewhere. There's a partition that goes there too, so I'm going to try to make this where I can put the partition back in and maybe cut a door in it so I can get in there and turn this on and off. That's my plan. That way I can shut this pump off or turn it on. And that way I don't have to worry about the internal check valve, and this pump won't matter anymore. I'll just turn it on and off with this. And that's what I want to do. That way we can still use the pump if we want. And I don't want to buy a new pump right now. So most of the time we're on city water, and I was able to do this, but it took me a few hours to track down parts and all that stuff. I had to go to Home Depot in Columbus while we were there, and it was just a pain in the butt. This is the line here that's coming from the water tank. That came out. The whole fitting came out. So this lock wasn't pushed in all the way. It is now. Those are just O-ring fittings, and then this locks it. So this was out a little bit, and I think it vibrated out with the use of the pump. That's what I believe happened anyways. So I'm going to try and set you guys up here and see how this goes. It's kind of, the PEX pipe is really a pain to work with. Getting fittings off, getting fittings on. You gotta a lot of times heat them up. So I'm gonna have to go get the air dryer, my wife's hair dryer, and heat that PEX pipe up so I can get the fittings apart, and then I can get them put back together the same way. They'll go together a little bit easier than they come apart. But that's what we're going to try and do. Alright, so here's what I have to work with to try and make this work. This is what was in there to begin with. This fitting on the end here. Let me try and get this. I'll just bring you over here. This is how this went together. This pushed in, and then this locks. Just like that. And that's locked in place. Now this can turn. But what happens, this fitting that I have on here, right there, should be right here. Actually, it should be right there. And then this hose, right there, going to the camper, goes right here. That's how it was originally put together. What I want in here is a shut off. So what I have that stuff to work with, the original stuff, and then I went to Home Depot and I bought a 90-degree shark bite fitting. I bought another shut-off valve because I wasn't sure if I wanted the heavier shark bite or if I'm going to use the plastic. I'll probably end up using the plastic just because it's so much lighter and it's kind of hanging in there. I bought this T right here, shark bite T. I believe I'm going to use the shark bite T instead of that plastic T. I'm still kind of undecided on that one. Okay, I pulled that hose off of there and there was a little bit of water in here. There's still water in this hose. What I'm gonna do is come over here and I'm gonna pull my low point drains out, let it drain down. I'll open a faucet and let it go. Just pull them both and let them drain. Not gonna hurt a thing. Down here and open. That door's locked. In here, it'll open faucet up there. And it should drain the low point drains. That should drain your whole system. So get that draining. Should take the water level down in this pipe. Okay, so I got my heat gun. I was going to use a hair dryer, but I have a heat gun, so I'll just use a heat gun. And I got to heat this hose up. Take it off there from the T. I should take this one off. Just take this fitting out and use the new pipe, because these clamps really dig into that, and a shark bite isn't gonna seal real well on that probably. I haven't got it all figured out yet, but I have it in my mind. I have to see it when I start putting it together there, but I have to take that other fitting off, so I will have to heat this pipe up here. Sorry, hard to show. Heat that pipe there and take that fitting out. We'll get it all put together and I'll show you what I got. Now, these pliers were very expensive, but it's a perfect crimp. These were almost 50 bucks at Home Depot. I bought them because I had to have them. We were on a trip and I wanted it fixed. So I did probably overspend, but they're nice. They're ratcheting, quick release when you're done right there, and fast and easy and perfect crimp. Okay, so here's what I ended up putting together. I have the line coming from the tank here, goes into the pump on the other side, and out of the pump into my T. I ended up using the plastic T over to save some weight, because I don't want a lot of weight hanging on it. And this has already got a shark bite here, but it seems okay. I still haven't put water to this, but I have my shut-off valve here so I can turn it on, and we can use our 12-volt pump. Turn it off. I can use the city water, and it cannot come past here to get to the pump. So no more worries about the check valve, hopefully. As long as this shut-off's working, it can't get past. And we'll have city water. So it's not that big of a deal. I got this at a RV dealer in Columbus while we were there. That's where I picked that up at. The shark bite came from Home Depot. The clamps and the crimper came from Home Depot. And that's pretty much it. The PEX pipe, I bought a 5-foot section of PEX pipe. I used maybe 6 inches overall. I don't even think I used that. And that's it. Now, to just make sure that these are locked every time, I will probably end up putting my cover back in, but I want to make a door in it so it doesn't, I don't have any problems there. That's what I hope to do, is make it, the partition goes in here. You see the screw holes right there. There's one there and there's one over there. And it makes it look nice and tidy in here when it's in here, but you can't access the pump unless you take it out. So somehow I want to put a door in it so I can turn this on and off rather than take the partition out every time. Alright, so today's a different day, and we're going to try this 12 volt pump out again and make sure that it works, make sure that it doesn't leak, and then I might just kind of zip tie it so that nothing can come unhooked. But putting some water in the fresh tank here. I'm not going to put a ton in because I just want to see if it works. I might drain it back out because we're not leaving for another week, and see what happens here. Hopefully it works and no problems. I think it was just a connection issue from the factory, and that's why we flooded our bay. But we're gonna see what happens here. Let me get a little bit more water in here and be back with you. Okay, so I have the hot water tank full. I hooked up the city water and filled my hot water tank, and when I had city water on, I had this valve off. It's off like this. I had it off. That way I'm only getting city water. I filled my hot water tank. Now I'm going to turn this on, have Joellen turn the pump on. With the city water only, I had no leaks, so we're good there. I'm going to have her turn the pump on, and we'll see what happens. Make sure there's no leaking and it comes up to prime and everything, and maybe run a faucet or the toilet or something. That way we can drive down the road, we can stop, we can use the bathroom and not worry about it. That's my whole point about doing this. So I can just run the 12 volt pump on the road, switch over to, I have to manually switch over to the city water now. No big deal, whatever. So that's what we're gonna do. Alright, we're gonna have Joellen turn the tank on now, the pump on. Go ahead, honey. Okay, shut it off. Yep. Leave the water off. Why don't you try and flush the toilet, run just a little bit more water in there. Yeah. I don't have any leaks so far. She's now running the toilet. She's going to run some water up into the toilet. Perfect. I'm very happy with this. That's good, hon. It's working. Test done. No leaks. Everything's dry. Pump's coming up, shutting off just like normal. The only thing we're not doing is relying on that check valve inside the pump. I've replumbed it so that shutoff valve works instead. So we're gonna go with that. I'm gonna go ahead and drain this water out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, think about subscribing. And I appreciate everybody watching. Leave me a comment below what you think. If you've done this, if you're thinking about doing it, if you've had problems. I've heard so many complaints about these pumps going, the check valve going bad. I haven't heard too much about the hose blowing out, but our hose blew out on ours. So it didn't blow out, it blew the fitting out of the pump. So I think that was an error on the side of whoever installed that pump. But other than that, leave me a comment below, see what you think. We'll catch you out there. Bye.